annual financial report system that will hopefully be released soon to the world. We've had some development issues set us back a little bit on our release schedule. I'm still hoping to have it out by September 1st. Hopefully that goal is not too lofty, but we've had some developers have to take leave of absences for some personal matters that's kind of slowed us down, but I will keep you informed of when it's going to be released. But in the meantime, we're going to walk through the system as it stands right now, as it's substantially complete. I just wanted to get everybody comfortable and acquainted with it so that once it does get released, everybody can be off and running and get these annual financial reports completed as quickly as possible. One thing I will say is, as we have had to delay the release of the system, I do have a spreadsheet version of the FY19 report available. If you wanted to start working on your report right now, I can get you a copy of that spreadsheet version. The spreadsheet won't be accepted through an upload. You will have to re-enter any information you put on the spreadsheet into the new system once the system's open, but it would allow you to get started and get all of your information into the right format. So it would just be a simple hunt and peck into the new system once you're done. So if you want that spreadsheet version, just shoot me an email. And I'm more than happy to provide it to you. In the meantime, since we've been so late getting the annual financial report system up, and my apologies on that delay. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the AFR in general, but not much. This presentation is more about navigating the new system and getting into the new system. The new online system will be using the ANA login. Some of you are probably familiar with that if you've done another state report, such as the street finance report, uses the same login. Some of the reporting that you have to do to IPERS or to Department of Revenue also uses this ANA login. So if you have a username through the system, and the way you would know that is the username would generally be your first name dot your last name at Iowa ID, or it would be, city of, state your city at Iowa ID. So if you have one of those logins, that will be the login that you use to get into this system. Earlier this summer, I put out a Google form and then requested that you fill in the members of staff at your city that will need to have access to both the annual financial report and the budget, as the budget will be in the same system once we release that later this fall. So anybody who reported through that Google form that I sent out, and there were about 500 or 600 submissions, we should already have you updated in the system, except if you didn't have an ANA account tied to your email that you gave us. We weren't able to find you. Some of you will be getting a contact from me about that. You'd submitted a request to be added to the system, but we don't have you set up for an ANA. I will contact you with some instructions as to how to get an ANA account set up so that we can get you added in to the AFR system. But most of you have already been added and assigned to your proper city for both the annual financial report and the budget. Even with the delay, I just want to reiterate that the AFR deadline doesn't move. It's still going to be December 1st. You'll still have to get it completed online and submit the signed copy and proof of publication by December 1st. That is unchanging. The new online system will be through the same portal that our valuation reporting system is, the PVAL system. That's been up and running for about 1.5 years now. So it'll be in the same location where you go to find your taxable and assessed valuation reports. It will look a little bit different once we release it from what you're used to, but it will be principally the same. Here's a screenshot below of what it's going to look like. So you can see on the left-hand side, there is your home and your reports that you're currently used to for the taxable and assessed valuation reports. But above it, there's also a little login link. You'll go through and click that login link to log into the annual financial report system and into the budget system when it's budget season. Once you click into that login link, if you don't have an ANA account, this is where you can set one up. So to create an account, you would just go through this login link over here, and then this screen would come up where it asks you to sign in. But instead of signing in, up along the top, there's an option that says create an account. You would click on the create an account field above the logins, and then it's going to ask you to enter your first and last name and then register. So you would just enter your first name, or in this case, if you wanted to set it up as a generalized city account, you could set it up as city of, and the last name is city, the city that you're setting it up for. That's fine if you want to use a more generalized account. Otherwise, you could just use your first name and your last name and then click register. Once you click register, it's going to ask you to generate a username. It will give you its best selection for username based on your first and last name. Usually it tries to do first name dot last name at Iowa ID, but if you have the name Jennifer Smith, there could be a lot of Jennifer Smiths that are already on the system, so it may give you a variant of that where it adds a number. So you may become Jennifer.Smith2, or it could be Jennifer Smith all smushed together. But it will offer you a suggestion. If you don't like that suggestion, you are free to edit it up in the account ID field right up at the top. It will also bring through your first and last name and then give you a space to enter the email address that you want tied to this sign-in. So I would strongly suggest that you use your official city account so that you don't miss any system-generated emails, because whatever email you tie to this account, it will send any of the confirmations of completed reports or any of the system messages that we send. It will come to whatever email account we have on file through this ANA profile. So make sure that the email that you use is an email that you check regularly so that you get all of those valuable system information emails that we'll be sending out through the system. And once you have that filled in, you just click on Save Account Details. Once you do that, it'll ask you to set up a baseline for your profile. This isn't anything that you're probably not used to if you have a login with any major corporation for either banking or for tax preparation. Some stores, even when you set up an account, require you to set up a baseline. All this is asking is it's asking for some validation questions. It'll give you options. Just select the validation questions that you think you'll be able to answer in the future in case you lock yourself out with the wrong password in too many attempts. That's basically what this is for. It'll also be for verifying your information if you're using our IT desk to help you, reset a password or change your email address that's attached to the account. So make sure you set questions and answers that you're going to know well into the future, because this will stick with you as long as you have this ANA account. Once you've set the 3 questions and the 3 answers, the bottom there's a green button that says Save Identity Baseline. Click on that, and then it'll take you to a new screen that says you're being emailed a confirmation email. We need you to confirm your account before we can make it active. So you will get an email at the email address that you attach to this profile. Once you get that email, make sure you click on the link inside and follow the steps to activate your account. Once you've done that and you've gotten confirmation that your account is active, send an email to me or give me a call so that I can get you attached in the AFR budget system to the proper city, so that you'll be a submitter for that city. And you are allowed to attach yourself to one report and not both. If you want to just be attached to the AFR, if that's your only responsibility and you have no budgetary responsibility, let me know that as well. I will default to adding you to both unless you tell me otherwise. So if you want to be added to just the budget, or you want to be added to just the AFR, let me know that, and I'll set your baseline, your identity baseline, so that you only get to see the budget or the AFR as necessary. Otherwise, I will default to setting you to seeing both, being able to edit both. We do allow multiple accounts to be logged or to be attached to a city. So, if you have 5 people in the office who may touch various aspects of the budget or help complete the budget forms, we can add all 5 of you. The key there is you just can't be editing at the same time. It's just one at a time editing, but you can each have your own account and you can each log in and view it separately as necessary. So if you have more people that you want attached to it, then you already told me through that Google form, also let me know that, and we can hopefully get them set up with an ANA account and get them attached to the appropriate city. Like I said, if
Ted?
you submitted to me already through the Google form, then you should already be attached to your city.
Ted?
Yes.
We have a couple questions in this area,
Okay.
so I wanted to chime in real quick. So to clarify, if you have a user ID for the road use report, they don't need to create a new one, but they still need to contact you to get connected to the AFR, correct?
Probably not. If they're in
Okay.
the street finance report system, we probably already have you. We probably already have you connected because we just used the same information from that login to put you onto this report. So what I would say there is if you have a street finance report login, try to log in first once we release it. And then if it doesn't show you a city, then contact me. I'm going to proactively contact the people that I know want access, but we don't have an account for, and try to help you get set up with an account. I'll provide you through email instructions as to how to, basically the same set of instructions that we just went through. I'll provide those to you proactively if I know that you're not set up in the system. But otherwise, if you have an A&A account currently that you use for the street finance report, you should be added to the system already and ready set up right out of the box. So try to log in first. If it doesn't show you your appropriate city through the steps that we're going to go over in a second, then contact me.
Okay. So another question is for those that do multiple cities, how should they handle this?
They would just need to let me know all of the cities they need to be attached to. So there were some users who, through the Google form that I had set up, had identified themselves as multiple city users. You'll be right out of the box, you'll be set up attached to all of those cities. And once we walk through the example that I'm going to use in our walkthrough when we go into the live system, the live test system, I'm going to show you what it would look like if you're a multiple city user, because I am attached to multiple cities under my test account. So you'll see what that'll look like. And if you don't see all of your cities there, then again, just shoot me an email. Let me know what other cities you need to be attached to, and I can attach you to those. Now, if you're an outside user like a CPA or a consultant, please be sure to include the city on the email so that I can verify that they want you attached to these reports as well, because I don't want to just go attaching people, willy-nilly and have a city at some point, not have the right information in there and wonder why. I need to make sure that the city also verifies that you need to be attached, but we can have outside consultants and CPAs in the system, as I know a lot of CPAs end up doing the AFR especially.
And is there any point to them filling out the Google form now?
Actually, it's closed and off at this point. So I think we have probably about as much information as we're going to glean off of that. The rest of them I'll just have to handle on a one-by-one basis. So if you get to the live system and you're not able to log in, like I said, then shoot me an email at that point. It's going to be more efficient than trying to go through the Google form. I was trying to get a massive amount of information at one time so I could dump it to my IT department and have them do most of the work on getting users set up. At this point, we're probably past where that's going to be useful. I'll just do them on a one-by-one basis, so just email me.
Okay, that's my questions for right now.
And then I did have one emailed question ahead of time that's kind of in this vein that was asking if our CPA prepares our AFR for the city as part of their services, and the AFR has to be submitted by the city. How does the city get access to the AFR form if it is prepared by their CPA? And will the AFR form be able to be downloaded and emailed as a file? The answer to that from a login perspective is you'll still, as a city, you should still have a login into the system along with your CPA who's doing your report. So you should be able to log in separately and generate a PDF copy or print it. We will have the option to do a PDF or print. You will be able to PDF and email this. You will be able to print it out on your printer, and we'll look at what that will look like in a little bit. Other than that, any more questions?
Are we going to be able to get to these presentation documents that you're doing now? We're going to distribute that?
This is being recorded as well, so you'll be able to review this in the future, rewatch it, and we'll make the presentation documents available to you. What you won't have without going back to the video is the walkthrough of the screens inside the AFR itself. I'll try to add some screenshots for navigation purposes to the presentation slides that we're going to post, but you will also have access to the video, if I'm not mistaken, Heather. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, that's my question.
Perfect. So let's take a look at the new system and how we're going to get there. Like I said, the web address, ignore the one you're seeing right now because it's our test environment, but the web address is going to be the same as it was for the reporting, the valuation reporting system. So it'll be dom-localgov.iowa.gov to get you to where you need to be. And your screen, once you go to that web address, will look exactly like this. We're going to have, let me go full screen here. We're going to have
Can you
this.
Repeat that?
So it'll be
the URL again.
The URL, and we'll have it linked on my website as well. We're going to try to change up all the links before we go live, obviously, but it's dom-localgov, and that's all one word, .iowa, all spelled out, .gov. Currently, if you go to that web address, it's where you get to your valuation reports, which is the page that looks like this, and it gives you all of your assessed and taxable valuation. Now it's also going to be a spot, or in the near future, I shouldn't say now, but in the near future, once we release the AFR system, it will be a space where you can log into both the AFR and eventually your budget once we release the budget system as well later this fall. So make sure you bookmark that web address if you haven't already. Otherwise, you can always get to it through just the regular DOM cities webpage, which is just dom.iowa.gov. Click on cities, and there will be a link there to get you to your AFR and budget submission website.
Okay, I put that in the chat as well, the URL, if anybody wanted to copy it out.
Perfect, thank you, Heather. Once you get to that website, you're going to see something that looks like this. Right here is the login in the top left that I was talking about that you'll need to log into your account. So if we click on login, it'll take us to a login screen that should look fairly familiar if you've done another online state report. We all use the ANA system. Again, up here along the top is where you can create an account. If you forgot your password or your ID, you can go through these links to work with our help desk to get your information. For the most part, I'm not going to have any of your login information. I will never have your password. They don't trust me with passwords, and rightfully so. But I may be able to help you out with your ID if you have problems with that. But the best way to get it is just to work through these two links and work with our ANA help desk. If you have a larger issue or you need to talk to somebody, there's a link down here that says report issue to state service desk. If you click on it, it will give you a form you can fill in, or it'll give you a phone number that you can call, an 800 number. If you're outside of the state, it's best to probably use the 800 number to get an actual representative to help you with your issue. So there will be assets in place to help you with login. For most of the issues, as long as it's not password related, I'll be able to assist you through as well. But try to use the links above. It's a little bit quicker for you, a little bit easier, as you may not be able to get to me quick and easy. But once you have your account set up and we've got you detailed onto a city, you come in here and you put in your login ID, and then you put in your password, and then you click sign in. And hooray, I put it in correctly. I was afraid I was going to botch that. So once you do that, it'll log you into this. Currently, it's a blank screen. We'll hopefully have something for the splash screen once it goes live, but we haven't put anything in there just yet. But you'll see along the side, there's some navigation options. You'll still have access to the reports like you always did. So as you're working on your budget or your AFR, if you need to access a taxable or assessed value for whatever reason, or your TIF estimations, you can still go through this reports link to get to all of those normal reports. There will be a local budgets section where there's a drop down. You can see this little arrow drops down a menu where it gives you the budget that you can go to or the annual financial report. This fall, the only thing you're going to see is annual financial reports under here. So we'll just click the annual financial reports link. If you are a single city, if you're a finance officer or a clerk for one city, you will just see your one city up here. It will only be one, but you should see something here when you log in and click on annual financial reports. That tells you that you're tied to a specific city. If you see the wrong city, shoot me an email right away and I will get you adjusted to the correct city. Hopefully we have everybody set up correctly, but I've rolled out enough systems here to know that we're going to mess something up as far as getting a user attached to the wrong account or not having the proper login credentials. So just shoot me an email if you see an issue. Here is what it will look like if you have a multiple city situation, where if you're a consultant or a CPA, or if you're a city clerk that does multiple cities, which I know we have a few of you clerks out there who do multiple cities, you're going to see all of your cities lined up here. If you do not, again, shoot me an email and tell me what needs to be added or what needs to be removed, and I can do that as an administrator to the system. Once you log in, for the very first time, it will look like this top option. I've put in 3 different versions to show us what it could look like when we log in. If you've never touched the form and you haven't entered anything, it's going to show as new for the status. And then it will show nothing for last updated. I was in here, so it did show an update spot, but it will show new. You'll have nothing here, and so your progress will be at 0 essentially. In order to get started, you come over to the edit link to the right-hand side, you click on edit, and then it'll drop you in to your AFR form. Now the AFR form is not terribly different from the spreadsheet version. We tried to keep it as close navigationally and where the information goes as humanly possible. So all of the same information that you entered on a page in the spreadsheet will be entered on that same page in this system. And as you can see, we kept all of the tab names what they were in the spreadsheet as well. So now the tabs from the spreadsheet are just pages up here in the navigation within this report. So everything from that perspective should be very, very familiar. The other thing I will point out is if you keep the navigation bar up, it will really smush down your report, and you're going to have to do a lot of scrolling to see items that you want to see. If you go ahead and click these double arrows up at the top pointing out towards the side of the screen, it will kick that navigation bar down, and you'll be able to just look at your report that you're trying to report for. So right now you can see there's not any information entered in here. We did, anywhere that you can enter information now is blue. We did make a change there as we had a request from a user who had a condition that's where they couldn't see the yellow. They couldn't pick up the yellow spots very well. So we went ahead and changed that to blue, a light blue, which per my quick internet research, I didn't see any that should cause any issues for people with medical conditions where they have trouble picking up color. That's why we went to a light blue. But that could, if that causes any issues, let me know and we'll try to adjust it in the future. But anywhere you see this light blue color is a place where you can add or edit information, just like the yellow spots on the AFR spreadsheet. You can see on the All Funds P1 page that we have currently set up, it's basically the exact same as the spreadsheet. The only difference in here is you're going to have to do a little bit of scrolling just because of how much space we have on the screen versus the web versus the spreadsheet, excuse me. So you can see there's a couple of different scroll bars in here. One scrolls you from section to section. So it'll take you from the top section where we have the addresses into the field where you're going to enter your budget information and see your AFR summary information flow in. And then it'll take you down into where you enter your non-included balances for these trust type items, and it'll show your debt from the other P10, and then it's your place for your certification information, your signature, your typed in name, the date that it was published or posted, and your phone number, and the date that it is being signed. These still do have to be printed off. The All Funds P1 pages still do have to be, at this time, printed off and signed. And then currently they're going to have to be mailed, but I'm working on getting a a electronic submission option set up where you can just scan it and email it. Talk to the Auditor of State's office, and they're going to be okay with that moving forward as far as just taking a scanned in copy so that we don't have to do so much mail work. In the future, hopefully we'll be able to use these little sections that were built in where you can actually sign with your mouse. And as you can see, I sign like a third grader, so mine's terrible, but you would just go in and do a mouse signature and say, yep, that's me. I've already signed off on it. But for now, we're not allowing that because we're doing the Auditor of State's office and myself, we're doing a little bit of research on whether or not e-signature like that would satisfy the requirements in the code. So right now we have the capability, you just can't use it and expect us to accept it until we get that figured out. But that may be changing in the future, and we've prepared for that. One thing I will point out with the scroll bars is, so this outside bar scrolls you from section to section. The all funds section here in the middle has its own scroll bar because there's so much information that needs to be carried in there that we have that as its own little separate section that you need to go through and do. So watch your scroll bars on the side because you may have multiple scroll bars for a section. The all funds P1 page is where you see that the most. The other pages are pretty much one scroll bar situations. But this one, because of the amount of information that has to be included on it and how long the page is when you print it out, since it's in portrait, when you print it out, we kind of had to make extra scroll bars to get all of the information in. But just know, as you scroll, you may have to adjust other scroll bars on your way down. You may have to use multiples at a time. I'm working with IT to straighten that out to make it a little bit more user-friendly and have less variability in the number of scroll bars. So in the future, that'll be an improvement that comes. But for right now, we're going to have to work with the amount of scroll bars that they have. Navigation through this. Oh, yep. Go ahead, Heather.
2 questions was,
sure.
Are you going to have to save on every page?
No. You will be able to, as long as you save in your session at some point, you can go page to page to page without saving and it will retain your information. You just have to save before you exit. If you exit and then try to come back in, it will just go poof and go away. So make sure you save before you leave. And you can see there is a save button up here in the top right corner, nice and handy, that will allow you to save as you go. There's also up here an air check button that I'll point out while I'm here. That you can use as you go along to check your air status. And if you go, you don't even have to click save before you check the air check, even though it brings up a separate window. All of your information will be retained until you leave.
Okay, the other question that we had is this good with all browsers? Did you cover that already?
Yeah, this should be compliant for all browsers. And I believe it's also Mac compliant, so we shouldn't have an issue there. One of the reasons that we had to get rid of the old system is it was no longer running on certain browsers with certain types of secured HTML language or Java language. It wouldn't be, you couldn't make it talk with those specific types of browsers. So and it was just getting to the point where we just couldn't repair it anymore. There's starting to be some cracks where it was going to explode here at any moment. This one is updated to the newest logic for the web forms. So it should be compliant across all different types of browsers. I've tried it in Firefox and Google Chrome. I will be testing it before we release it in Microsoft Edge and Microsoft Internet Explorer. I'm delaying it because I hate those, but we'll make sure, IT assures me it's compliant. I'm going to double check it for myself to make sure, but since we're upgrading it to the most current web language for web forms, we should be compliant across all browsers.
Another question is whether or not formulas will still be usable.
We are not at this time able to put in formulas. I lobbied for that, but because of the way the web forms work, it is not something that we can have in currently. That will hopefully change with technology, and I've got them working on that to see that we can put in, equals this plus this plus this plus this in one of the boxes and have it show a summation response. But currently we can't do that because of the way the web forms work. Same thing with commenting. I tried to preserve that as well, but with the way the web forms work, it won't accept a comment. Again, that is something that is on my list for improvements in the future because I like those options. I think they're super duper handy, but I kind of got handcuffed here with the available technology, and quite frankly, what we could afford. Honestly, we're as always with the state, we're doing it on a shoestring budget. So hopefully, as either improvements in technology or improvements in my financial situation come in the future, we'll try to add those on.
Okay. Windows 7, is that going to impact it?
It's Windows 7 and 10. It's Windows 7 and 10 compliant. I've tried it on both. The laptop I'm running off of right now for the presentation is Windows 10, and my desktop is Windows 7. So I know it works on both of those.
And will they get fill-ins from previous submissions, other reports like they did in Excel?
We will have anything that filled in for you in Excel will fill in here. On the AFR, that really was just your assessed valuation and your address. I believe those were the only two things that we filled in on the AFR. On the budget forms, when we come to budget time, all of the information you're inputting right now into the AFR forms electronically on the new system will flow right into your budget file, just as they always had in the past. Only I'm just going to have to do a lot less work, which is great.
That's it, go.
Okay, perfect. So like I was saying, along the top, your tabs or your pages on here are exactly named the same way as the tabs on the spreadsheet. You just click on them as though they were an Excel tab to navigate from page to page to page. All of the same information will be in roughly the same spot. We are going to change the look just a little bit in that we're going to take away some of this. We've got a lot of extra space in here, and we're going to take some more of that extra space out to get more on the page, so you have to do a lot less scrolling. But you can see there's a scroll bar along the side that you can use to move you up and down. Also, you can click into a cell and use the directional keys to go up and down. So use either of those. It'll go up and down, it'll go left and right. As you hit your tab button, it'll go to the next available cell for input. So make sure that you're using the keyboard or the mouse. It's point and click or it's keyboard. Either way you can navigate through it. You enter the numbers the exact same way as you always have, but you'll see them on the screen. It'll actually add the commas as you go, unlike Excel, so that'll be a little bit more helpful as we go. If you hit the enter key, it will take you down. If you hit the tab key, it will take you across. It should, and it has, we had trouble with this earlier, but I think we've gotten it cleared up through me badgering the IT department. It should skip any cell that you can't put a number in, like row 4 here, where it's a summation of row 1 or row 2 minus row 3. It will skip all of these white summation fields. So you should be able to just go from blue box to blue box to blue box. All of the row and column headers have been maintained from the spreadsheet as well. You can see we still keep the row numbers in here. The same row number that you had in the spreadsheet will be the same row number in here. So taxes levied on property was line number 2, excuse me, in the spreadsheet on revenues page 2. It's the same thing here. So any notes that you kept in the past to help guide you to a certain position should still work, because we still have the headers with the letters. We still have the row numbers on each side to let you know where you're at within the form. So those should still all work if you had notes based, navigational notes based on the headers. That should still be good. The wording is all the same. If there were places where you could enter your own headings, such as the miscellaneous fields in the spreadsheet, we've maintained those. Those are also light blue. The only difference is if you're tabbing through the number fields, it's not going to tab into that. If you're tabbing or entering, you'll have to either use, actually in the directional keys, I forgot, don't work on it. So if you want to enter a row heading anywhere where you have open space, you have to click into it with your mouse, enter your row heading, then click back over, and you're off and running, entering the numerical information. So all of that should be the exact same. The thing to watch out for is we can only fit so much on a screen you can see at one time, so you'll have to use track bars left and right. Either that or change the view zoom of your screen, because if I change the view zoom on here and zoom out, it's going to show me more, but it's going to be smaller. So this is at a 100% setting in Google Chrome. So if you leave it to where it's defaulted in Google Chrome, this is what you're going to see. If you want to change your Google Chrome view setting, you can do that through the options menu in the top right corner. Same thing for Firefox, same thing for Internet Explorer. You can change the zoom of your screen to see more of these columns. I just left it up set as it's defaulted, just so you can see what it's going to look like when you get in there. But you can adjust those settings as you want. The information, like I said, will hold even as I skip from page to page. So if I skip all the way down to expenditures page 9, and then I go back to revenue P2, even though I haven't saved, it keeps my 1.5 million. And then I can go up and save at any time. As I save, it'll say AFR updated successfully. Once it does that, I know I can leave without losing anything. I can also, like I said, check errors at any time. Obviously, since I haven't entered much information, it's going to give me the phone book as far as errors go. But you will have to check your errors just like you did previously and clear them all before you'll be allowed to submit your information. The revenues page 5, remember, important to begin there to put your beginning fund balances in. And then expenditures page 9, just like in the previous iteration, you do still have to break out your ending balance by non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. All of that has stayed the same. The difference is you would have seen an error message here. This would normally say error because I have 1.5 million, but I haven't broken it out anywhere. We've moved that error into the errors screen. As you can see, this top error is now your allocation error. So the location of where you saw some of the errors might have changed, but all of the same error messages, all of the same warnings are still included in here as they were before. So all of that should still feel pretty comfortable. We're using the exact same wording except updated for changes to navigation that have crept up since we're changing into this new system. But otherwise, the navigation of it's pretty much the same from screen to screen. Everything that you saw previously on a screen is the exact same now. Let me hop back out and we'll go into one that's a little bit more completed. Okay, so once you have everything entered and you have everything completed and you're ready to go, and do your publishing and posting. And again, nothing with publication has changed, nothing with posting has changed. So if you're 201 and above in population, you're still publishing. If you're 200 and below in population, you're still posting. If you're a posting city, you have this all funds P1 page that you're going to want to print out. So you would just go to print, you'd go to print in browser, and if you go to print in browser from there, what it's going to do is it's going to give you the full document, so all of the pages. And you'll be able to print the pages, or you'll be able to save it as a PDF, because what I have it set up for right now is to save it as a PDF. If I click save on it, it'll ask me, hey, where do you want to put this? So I'm going to have to tell it where to go and then name it. So in this case, I would name it something akin to AIMS FY 2019. If I could learn to type, AFR, and then I save it out. And as you can see, it works pretty quick. And then if I go out and I go into my work drive, where did I put that? Put it under, there we go. In my work drive, boom, AIMS 2019, AFR, and there it is, ready for viewing or ready for emailing. The one thing that I will say about the printing is there's a couple of options that it gives you as far as printing is concerned that you'll want to pay attention to. And let's go back into the print browser. Okay, so over here along the edge, it's going to give you an option for headers and footers. Make sure that that's not clicked, because otherwise it'll put headers and footers in that might not work with your printing because they're really close to the edge. But you do want to make sure that background graphics is clicked, because that allows you to have that nice gray-white variation between lines, so that it gives you some contrast when you're viewing it. Like you can see over here, every other line is gray, and then it gives you the gray headers for the sections, and it just makes it a little bit easier on the eye when you're trying to navigate your way through it. So make sure that that's set that way. Destination, you can pick whatever printers you have available, or you can do a PDF save. And you're gonna have to do that once you do publish and posting, but you can print at any time if you just want to like print it out for error checking before you go to publish or post. Anytime, any amount of information entered, just like with the spreadsheet, you can print it at any time. And then it will also force you to do a print when you go to publish and post. Oh, whoops, I gotta make one change. Save. You got a question, Heather?
I do. There was, will we be limited to one line under other that we can label?
No, it's the same. We kept it the same as it was in the spreadsheet. So if you had multiple lines in the spreadsheet, you'll have multiple lines here. Good example of that is it page 8? Yeah. So here you have multiple internal service funds that you can do on the, I think it's expenditures, page 7. Yeah, here we go. So on page 7 of the expenditures, you have 2 other governments, you have 2 debt services, 2 regular and 2 TIF capital projects. So just like in the spreadsheet version that we've been using for years, we've kept the same amount of blank lines where you can edit a row header.
Okay. So if they needed more than that, what should they do?
Just like in the previous version, you're going to have to aggregate things into a line. And then the nice part about that is if you have to aggregate, we've got a remarks box still at the bottom of other P10. So anything interesting that you want to point out, or anything that needs clarification, like I aggregated these things under this field, use the remarks box to let us know.
Okay. And do you have to do errors for each screen, or can you do it all at once?
Nope, you can do it at any time. You just have to do it before you go to publish or post, because it won't let you, just like the old system, it won't let you submit until you have cleared all of the listed errors. But I can check that at any time. If I never, the next point I was going to make, that bleeds right in. Is there another question, Heather? Otherwise, that bleeds right into my next point.
They're looking for the instruction page.
Oh, the instruction page actually hasn't been added yet. It's going to be a PDF this time. That you can, it'll be a PDF link right in the system that you can print out or view on your screen. That just hasn't been added yet, because I'm trying to get the other errors cleared out first, and then we're going to add it, and that'll actually be a link somewhere up here in the header, like right next to check errors. That'll be instructions, and it'll pop up a PDF copy, and away you'll go. A good question.
Sounds good.
Thank you for reminding me. As you go, you can check your errors as many times as you want. It doesn't hurt anything. If you can never check your errors as you go, if you're that confident and you don't need the guidance and you know you do perfect work, go ahead and do all of your work and then go to publish posting once you're ready to submit, and it will do an error check for you anyway. So at the very end, the first thing that the publish post does, it says, congratulations, no errors found, or it will say, hey, I've got a problem. So let's establish an error that I know this one will give. Boom, I go to publish post, and it tells me what errors I have to clear before I can move forward. And it will not let me move forward until I clear those errors. But once I go, okay, I know what my mistake was. I go back and I clear it. And then I go to publish post, it'll tell me, congratulations, no errors found. And then it'll give me this nice green proceed box. I can click on proceed, and then it's gonna ask me, when are you publishing? What is your publication date? Remember, on the AFR, there's no 10 and 20, there's no 4 and 20. You just have to publish it at some point before you submit it. We won't accept it as a submitted annual financial report, and we won't have you cleared as a city of your obligation until you publish and provide proof of publication if you're 201 or above, or until you post and provide proof of posting if you're 200 and below in population. But this will allow you to enter the date right here. It's also got a calendar where you can just go in and select your date for which you're going to be publishing. Let's say we're going to publish on the 30th, and then I click submit. So what it'll do once you do that is it's going to generate a publication page for you. Right now, one of the issues that we're having that I've already reported to him, you can see it's got total 10 pages. That's not going to happen in the live version. What you're going to get here at this point is just your publication page that needs to be sent off. So you're going to put it in, get your publication here, and send it off to the paper to be published. I'm going to cancel out for now because I don't actually need it. But then it will put it into published status, which is essentially just ready to go, filed in the system. All we're waiting on is your paper documents. Once that happens, you can see it locks out all of your other options. It locks it out from entering any more information. So make sure you're done with it before you go to publish it, because it will lock down the form and not allow any information change. The one thing you can still do is you can still go in and print out copies of your report. So that will still happen. But if you need to make a change after that and do an amendment, that's when you're going to have to talk to me. Now, the nice part about the system is from an amendment standpoint, let's say we did get to publication and we published, and then oops, we did our audit and we found out that some of our numbers were off, so now we want to amend. You can see on Armstrong here in the system, it allows an amended status. That's because we do allow you to amend reports. The thing that you have to do on an a needed amendment, though, is you need to contact me to let me know that you need to amend after it's been submitted, because we want to just keep track of who's changing their reports, because that's important to me from a data perspective. I need to know when the data changes so that I update all of the various data sets that we have built off of this, and I provide information to our partners at ISU Extension, at the League. There's several other entities that like to have this data. We need to know when it's being amended so that we can make adjustments to the data sets that we have out there to have the most current information on it. So if you get all the way done with your process, like we were in the city of Ames, we get to the point where we've gotten as far as we can, we've published or posted it, and it locked us out. If I need to make a change at this point, you need to shoot me an email or give me a call so that I can re-unlock the system for you. Once I do that, you'll be able to make the changes in the system just like you did to enter it the first time. Your report will come back from published posted status to in progress, and then or amended. It'll actually come back in amended status because we're trying to keep track of the versions. And then you'll be able to enter information just as you did, and then you'll run it through again, another publishing and posting session. If you are making changes that don't need a republication, and we'll discuss that, just like previously, you had to talk to me if you were doing an amendment to your AFR to see if you needed to publish or post again, because that's a judgment call based on what's changing. Same thing here. You'll still have to talk to me if you're making an amendment to see if you need to republish or repost. Once I tell you that, you go through the publish or post just as you did in the first time around. So in Armstrong, I've got them ready to amend. You go into publish post, it tells you that. I can still put in the same date that I used previously, and that's actually the date that will come up, will be the original publication date that I used the first time I did this before the amendment. If I don't need, if you talk to me and I told you don't need to republish, this is a small enough change that we don't need to do another publication, all you got to do is click submit, and it'll submit your secondary amended version. And again, because we can't really change the process from there, it will still give you a proof of or a publication notice page. Just cancel it out. You don't need to print it, and you're locked up again. You can amend multiple times. We would like you to just amend once, but we know sometimes there's stuff that just doesn't get caught even on 2 viewings. So if you need to amend multiple times, we can now accommodate that more easily. You can do that through the system. You just have to let me know, shoot me an email or give me a call saying, I need to amend for this reason. I'll unlock your report and put it into amendment status, and then you can go through and do your amendment as necessary and just walk it through all of the normal steps. You will always be able to get back to the email question that I got, you'll always be able to log back in, even if your AFR is in submitted status, you'll always be able to log back in here and print off a new copy or run a PDF copy of it out of the system until basically the end of the current fiscal year. So for the FY19 AFRs that we're about to begin, you would be able to view it in this system, make changes to it basically through June 30th, 2020. After that point, we roll it to the new system into the new year, and that'll be the only one you see. So we'll keep it fresh for you that long before changing it around and putting up a new copy. There will also be a public-facing website that I don't have access to in the test environment that will do the job that the auditor's website currently does, where it will post your copy of the it will post a copy of your completed AFR for the citizens and the general public to view. So there will be also a link to that website in here. But in the test environment, I can't get to it. But that will be included as part of this rollout package. So just know that your citizens will still be able to get to it. We'll put a redirect on the Auditor of State's website so that in the future it'll redirect you to the new public-facing website, but we will have PDF copies stored out there. You could see in the PDF copy of the report, let's pull that back up, it is changed a little bit. We've got some changes to the layout that were necessitated by the fact that now it's being kind of automatically created on the fly. It tailors the columns to the widths needed based on the information provided. So it does look a little bit different, but everything is still in the same place as it was on the spreadsheet reports. So you should still be able to find all of the information that you need on the same pages in roughly the same spots. Like I said, the line numbers are the same. The columns and the column headers are all the same. So it should look and feel very similar to what you have. All of the formatting is the exact same as far as everything that was previously printed portrait is now printed portrait. Everything that was previously printed landscape is now printed landscape, with the exception of, if we scroll all the way to the back, other P10, I believe, used to print in portrait. Now we're printing it in landscape just because it actually ends up looking a little bit cleaner and nicer when you print it this way versus the old methodology. But it will save a PDF. The PDF will look basically the exact same as it did previously, and you can save that copy on your system and email it around and just have it forever and ever. And you can either put that one out on your website if you keep a copy on your website, or you can link to our public-facing website if you don't want to keep multiple years of PDFs on the website. Now, that web address we will have a link to through this system, like I said, and I will provide it to you via an email blast and future presentations once we have it established and set up. But for now, we're primarily focusing on the input side so we can get you guys off and running. Let's see, I don't think, so submission. The last piece of submission that it hasn't changed is you still need to, this All Funds P1 still needs to be printed off and signed down at the bottom, and then currently mailed to the exact same address as previous, the Auditor of State's office, along with your proof of publication or your proof of posting, either of which you'll have based on what size city you are. We're going to go mailing for now. I am working on establishing a process to do it paperlessly, or do it mailinglessly, so you won't have to mail it anymore. You'll just have to scan it in, and likely what it'll be is you'll scan it in and you'll email it or you'll upload it to a specific spot. Still working with IT to see which one's going to be a better fit for the system. But then you'll just have to provide it through that portal as a PDF, and then we'll be able to keep it that way instead of having mail flying all over the place. I know it's only what is it now, 52 cents? I forget what it costs to mail a letter, but we'll save you that much money just by having you able to do it paperlessly as a PDF image. Otherwise, that's pretty much all there is to the system. Like I said, not much is changing. The important keys to remember are navigation. If you have multiple cities, it will show you the progress of each. You can see as I went through and completed the various portions of my AFR, it updates my status. So you can see there's an amended section here, and it tells me I amended it. I actually did all the work on the 19th, so that's why it counts it as a 19th amendment date. It gives me the date that it was in the newspaper. It gives me my published date. It gives me my my last updated date. So if I went in there and I wanted to know when did I last work on this, that'll constantly update as you save. It doesn't update until you actually save the information within the report, but it will give you a nice paper trail if you have multiple people working on it to show when it's been updated and what status it's in. Other than that, any questions?
Oh, yes. One of the questions is whether or not the whole report needs to be mailed in or just the all funds page.
Still just the all funds P1 with a proof of publication or proof of posting. Just like that rule doesn't change, the date it's due doesn't change. So the only thing that's changing is kind of how you do it.
Okay, the 12/1 falls on a Sunday. How does that
so you'll
impact
get 12/2.
Okay. And then will the status ever change to accepted?
The status will not change to accepted once you publish it. If it's in published status, that is accepted. We don't take any further action on it. You just have to submit it. Once it's submitted and it's in published status, you can count that as accepted, except for you've still got to get your mailing in, just like the current system.
Okay, I'm going to read this one. Do you publish post after you know the publication date? Can you print the first page, publish, then hit the button for publish post?
You can print the page. You can print the page at any time as part of the full documents. So if you just wanted to get it out ahead of time, otherwise you have to put in your publication date, and we can always change the publication date if something moves. We would just kind of treat that as an amendment with no republication, because you haven't published it obviously yet. But we can always change that published date if it doesn't, for whatever reason, work out, because we know we always have some publisher that'll miss the date or screw it up and put it in the wrong day. So we're going to be able to fix those issues. You would just have to contact me, and I would help you work through those issues.
And then just a comment that, again, you're intending the instructions page to be a link off of the top up in the navigation area, correct?
Correct.
So, okay.
When we're in, like, I'll just go into Grinnell here. When we're in here, there will be a link up here that's just instructions, much akin to the urban renewal report where there's a help. This will either say instructions or help, and it'll be up there. We just haven't gotten it loaded in yet, but it'll be, I'm going through the instruction page, and I already have gone through it once. I'm going to go through it again, and I'm making it a little bit more robust than it's been in the past, with a little bit more information on it to help you figure out kind of what goes where. But that will be in the form of a PDF. When you click the link, the PDF will load, and you'll be able to view it on your screen or print it off, whichever is better for you.
Okay, I have one more question.
Sure.
And so if anyone has questions, now's the time to put them in. Hurry, hurry. The one question is, are there plans to hold any workshops?
One thing that Heather and I actually were just talking about yesterday, right, Heather? Was it yesterday?
Yes.
Space and time has come available at the IMFOA conference this fall. So one of those sessions will focus on the annual financial report a little bit more in depth. It'll kind of be, I think the way we were thinking about it would be the webinar that Cindy did in previous years, just kind of presented live and with the new system. So we would be able to walk through examples on the screen and then talk a little bit more in depth about where you get the numbers to go into the report. So that might be a refresher for people who are experienced, or it might be focused a little bit more towards newer people. But yeah, there will be a workshop in that regard. Otherwise, I'm not planning any more webinars or workshops on the AFR, unless there's a mass outcry for one, as this one will be recorded and will be available to you for navigation purposes. I will be communicating any changes that are coming up. I'll be communicating any release dates as I have them, as we get back on track with our developers and hopefully get this thing out before December 1st. So you'll still see communications from me, but I'm not planning anything formal like a workshop.
Okay, just for reference, that time slot we're looking at for the additional time is actually on Wednesday prior to IMFOA, and it is still it's still tentative at this point. We don't have registration set up for that or anything, so we're still narrowing down the last details there. I do have one more question.
That is, we'll put a strong emphasis on the fact that is currently tentative, but that's something that we are looking at. So keep that on your radar.
And that would be, if it's happening, it would be October 16. All right, so the other question I have is, can you re-explain the dates on the last screen you had up?
Oh, sure. So this screen, I'm assuming, is what you're talking about. So as you work through your AFR report, so when you log in for the first time, it'll be blank. You'll see your city in the AFR. The status will be new, meaning that you haven't touched it yet. You haven't entered any information, and click Save. As you click Save, you will see this last updated date change to today, tomorrow, whenever you last made an update in it. So the most recent update was made on what day at what time. The published date is the date when you actually click through the published button and you completed it. The newspaper date is the date of publication that you entered on the publication screen that we were in. So this would be the date it shows up in the newspaper. This would be the date you completed it in the system. If you don't have an amendment, this will stay blank. But anytime you add an amendment, it will add the date that you changed, you last changed, saved, and completed the report in its amended status. So this may stay blank for you forever if you never make an amendment. But if you do make an amendment, it'll show you the date in which you actually made the amendment and reclosed the report, the date and time that the report was reclosed. If you make an amendment where we need you to do a republication in the paper, this date will update to the newest publication date, whatever that is. In this case, we were saying this amendment that we were making for the city of Armstrong did not need to be republished, so we kept the same original publication date that we had previously. And then again, I'll point out, published status means accepted. It means that you are published in the paper and we're expecting your documentation through the mail.
All right. That is all the questions I am seeing.
Okay. Like I said, we're hoping to have this system released live to you by the 1st of September. Hopefully we can get our developers back going again at a pace and get there's only a few small things from the reporting side that need to be corrected yet, some navigational issues, and then just putting in things like the instruction pages in, and then doing a little bit of cleanup on how it looks visually, and then we'll be able to release it. Once it's released, you have until December 1st, just like always, to get it completed in the system. As you have questions that come up, just email me or call me. My information can always be located on the Department of Management's website. So Department of Management's dom.iowa.gov. And then if you go to the About Us section under local government, there is all of my contact information and what I am responsible for. So if you're a city person, I'm the person to talk to. There's my phone number. If you click on here, it will automatically open up an email to me, but my email address is just my first name, Ted, dot my last name, Nelleson, at iowa.gov. There's one more thing that I missed that I put in here, and that's why I missed it, because I didn't go back to it. So there's a 1 hour time limit on this system that is being imposed on me. It is not something I selected. It's just apparently with data security, they have to have with the data security policies that we have in place at the state, there has to be a timeout on all reports or all data input programs that are run by the state. So we have it set for as long as they will allow us, which is 1 hour. So you've got 1 hour of work time before you have to worry about renewing your session. You won't automatically be kicked out. It will give you a countdown clock, and that's what this screenshot is here. So up at the top of the screen, above where all of your buttons are and above your city name, when you're ready to time out, when you're within 5 minutes of timing out on your session, so at 55 minutes, this is going to pop in. There will be a status bar, highlighted piece of the status bar that's in orange that says, do you want to renew your session? And then all you have to do is go and click renew right here, and then that'll go away and you're renewed for another hour. Like I said, I would prefer to have it unlimited, but they tell me that I can't have that. So we talked them up to an hour from the initial 20-minute suggestion. But you have an hour of uninterrupted work before you have to worry about renewing. And then all you have to do is click on renew before that countdown. You can see I let it get down pretty far. In this screenshot, it's at 33 seconds. So if I didn't renew in 33 seconds, it would auto-save my information that I've entered, and then it would log me out. So it would kick me out of the system completely, and I'd have to go log back in. The one thing that I was clear about is that we need it to auto-save what information is in there currently before it bounces you to the street. So it should do that for you, and then you just have to log back in. Otherwise, you can click renew, and if you keep clicking renew, it'll never kick you out. You just have to do that every 55 minutes or so, at least every hour before it counts down to 0, and then you'll be able to continue on at a pace. Other than that, you should be pretty uninhibited as far as what you can do inside the system and out. And again, remember, if you're going to leave, if you're working on a situation where you have multiple cities, like the example that we have set up here, and you're moving back and forth, be sure to save before you leave the report. You can move tab to tab without saving, but you cannot move out of one report into another report without saving. It will not store your information unless it's automatically booting you out of the system, in which case it will do an autosave. We limited the amount of autosaves to keep the system running faster. Originally, I started talking to them about, why don't we autosave every time they enter a piece of information? And they looked at me like I was crazy, because if we have 1,000 people in here working at the same time, which in August and September is definitely a possibility each year, and everybody's auto-saving all the time, the system will just not be able to handle that kind of activity, and it will either bog down or crash. So that's why we have a timeout, and that's why it only auto-saves if you're going to be kicked out. Otherwise, you've got to click the save button in order to save your work.
Okay, a couple more questions have come in. Specifically talking about this hour concept, that does not matter if you are working or not working. You only that screen will stay open for an hour.
Correct. The timer starts when you log in. And then whether you're working on it or not doesn't matter. The only thing is, obviously, if you're not working on it and you've got it, if I collapse it down and I don't see it, I won't get, if I'm on some other page, like I'm working on my presentation, I won't see that notice. So you have to have the website up in order to see the notice bar, or you have to know at the 55-minute mark since I logged in, I need to go back and check it. And that's one of the primary reasons that they have a kickout, is to get inactive accounts shut down, to preserve the speed for everybody else. But it's working or not, if you're typing all the time, it's not like it resets every time you type. It's from when you log in, hour at a time, and you have to renew it as it comes up. And
the last one I have is someone would still like to know if it will generate a minimum newspaper notice like the old system did.
Correct, it will, yes. And it should create one that's the same size as what we currently have.
All right, that's it.
Okay.
All right. I will let everyone know that we are recording the session. It's going to take us a little while to get that converted and uploaded to a place where we can distribute it, but we're expecting the system to send you a link to that webinar recording within the day. It might actually be tomorrow before the automatic email goes. And then we will also post it off the League's website. And Ted, I'm assuming you have a spot on yours as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So that is it. We appreciate you guys hanging in there through our technical difficulties. And again, we are signing off. Thank you for your time.